haven't had him perform for us in probably 3 years. And he's got his own storytelling show, Previously Secret Information. He's been voted San Francisco's funniest comic in 2011 by the SF Weekly. He's appeared on Comedy Central. And he's a good friend. It's taken a long time to get him back on this stage, so y'all give it up real hard for Joe Klocek.
Thank you. As the final storyteller of the 6-year anniversary, I think we have to say thank you, Dixie, for putting this all together. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here. This story is like it is 20-some years old. My first girlfriend in San Francisco. I remember the first time she invited me back to her apartment, and I drive to her apartment, and I start realizing, wow, where she lives is nice. So I'm like, wow, okay, this is good. This girl has money, you know, that's good. That's new, you know. And I get into her apartment, and I'm like, oh, this is a beautiful apartment. And immediately she corrects me. She's like, it's a condo, and I'm like, okay, she's got money and attitude, but hot. Whatever, right? She gives me the tour of the condo, and I will always remember this because she's like, that's a view of the Golden Gate Bridge. And I'm like, okay, I would be proud of that too. This is the bedroom. You have to earn admission into that place. Okay, fair. You know, that's fair. And then she opens a drawer in the kitchen and goes, that is my magic wand. I am a witch. You do not touch it ever. And closes it. I'm not making fun of witches. I mean, right now, there's probably a Wicca storytelling show happening somewhere right now, you know? But you have to remember, this was my first San Francisco girlfriend. I was living in Walnut Creek, all right? With, Banana Republic land out there, you know, just land of khakis and, yeah. And you know, to me, kinky was leaving the lights on. That's where I was, you know? I know, but it gets worse. So I was just like, oh, okay, you're a witch with a condo? You know, what is that? I don't understand, you know, what are we here for, you know? And frankly, she's out of my league hot, and she's more woman than I can handle, and I have no idea why she's taken an interest in me, but I'm not going to stop her. You know, to go, have you looked? You know, that's not gonna, you know, it's not. I'm just like, I don't, you know, maybe the magic wand, head wound, I don't know, but I'm lucky. I'm not an idiot. I'm lucky, right? I'm enjoying it. And at one, a couple of weeks in, she sits me down one day and she goes, I have a fantasy I need you to help me to fulfill. And I'm like, yeah, you know, let's do it. What's the fantasy? And she just matter-of-factly says to me, she goes, I want you to sneak into my apartment or outside in the park somewhere. I want you to rape me. Now, I have since learned that this fantasy is much more common than people want to admit, but I, as the timid Walnut Creek male that I am, I'm like, I've been raised, I can't strike a woman, I'm not going to do that. And she's like, you are going to rape me, don't be a pussy. She shamed me into doing this. Who is violated at this point, you know? She's like, you're going to do this. And I'm like, no, like a little kid, you know, like, I don't want to, it's gross, you know? Weird. She's like, you're gonna do this, and I'm like, okay, you know, and like, and then those words came out. I'm like, okay, and as those words, I'm like, oh my God, like, what have I agreed to? And as soon as I said yes, another drawer opens and the book comes out, and she has been planning this for a while. Interesting noise. Let's table that and move on. I like it. I like the enthusiasm. apparently my Jedi coming powers are working. So she lays out the plan for me. It's very elaborate. There's costume changes. And I'm not sneaking into her apartment, which seems a lot safer. Now it has to take place a block from her apartment in, the parks that we have all over the city, right? I won't tell you which park, but it's that park. So it's like a block from her house, and the idea is I'm going to have a ski mask on, Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going to rape, you do it right. So I have the ski mask on, right? And there's a bush I have to hide in, ironic. And this was the early 90s. We hadn't shaved yet. And she's supposed to, I guess, saunter by, like, oh, I've just finished my shift at whatever. And I'm supposed to jump out and pull her into the bush and somehow fulfill this fantasy. And she's explaining this all to me, right? And again, I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, but there is this panic that is just blooming inside the base of my soul, because I'm just like, I don't know if I can do this, but I have to hold on to this. This girlfriend is hot and crazy and rich. You don't let that kind of train wreck go without letting the train run you over a couple times, right? So I'm not going to make a good choice, right? So the night comes, right? And to and to add to it, we haven't spoken for a week. Somehow that makes me more of a threat, right? And the time comes, right? And this is how this dates the story, because now if I said I checked the time, I'd be looking at my cell phone, but the whole time, I'm in this bush, crouched in this bush. And it's like 9 o'clock. It's on a Thursday. I don't know why she picked Thursday, but it's her fantasy, And I keep looking at the clock. I'm like, all right, she's got 10 minutes. I am just, my heart is pounding, right? Just pounding. And I'm like, okay, it's time to get ready. And I put the ski mask on, and man, you cannot breathe in those things. So, I'm nervous. My heart is just pump, 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 pump. I'm trying to breathe. I start to hyperventilate in this bush wearing this wool mask, right? And this is when it dawns on me. It's like, it's like, oh, yeah, I should have sprung for the extra model, that had the mouth. But it's my first time. I didn't, it wasn't in the plans anywhere. If you buy a wool ski cap, make sure the mouth is cut out. That wasn't anywhere in there, right? So I'm in there just like, and I keep looking at the thing, and she's late. I'm like, you're late. Come on, it's hot, right? And I take the mask off, and I see another guy he's walking his dog, and he's smoking a cigarette, right? And they start to come closer and closer to my bush. I wandered into that one, I'll be honest, but the person can't see I'm there, right? But the dog, it's like a little yappy, little shit dog, right? And the dog is just like, it's kind of, I think it smells fear is what it smells. Because I got to be dripping in it by now, and the dog is, and the guy's like, come on. And I'm just, I'm like, trying to go, because, yeah, if a dog sees a foot come out of a bush, a dog's always like, oh, let's go away and ignore that. No. The dog is starting to like, get into the thing. I'm like, and the guy's like, what you got in there, girl? I'm like, that will be said later too. But you're early, and I can see, we're like, okay, she's late, and now I got this dog situation. I'm hyperventilating. The dog finally goes away, and the guy goes away, right? And I see her through the bush at the entrance to the park, right? And she starts walking in. And now I'm like, okay, Joe, this woman has trusted you with a fantasy. It's weird. You don't quite feel comfortable, but you're going to do this. You're going to do this for her. Why couldn't she like flowers? That was my last thought. Why couldn't she like flowers? Why couldn't she be a boring girl from Concord like me, you know? Why couldn't it be that we could make out on Bart, you know? So simple. So I see her, you know, and I'm like, okay, you know, put the mask on again, and I'm hyperventilating, and I'm like, okay, she's getting closer, she's getting closer, she's getting closer. Like, okay, you know, I'm like trying to still myself. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, right? So I'm literally with the wool mask on, sweating, just completely opposed to what I have to pretend to do in my soul. In my head, I'm going, use the Force, Joe. Which is really not the right thing to say, you know, but it's, I know, but I'm honest. I'm like, use the Force, and I'm like catching myself, and I'm like, it's kind of funny. Like, you know. But here's the thing, as I'm thinking that, I realize I have no boner. I don't know if you've ever tried to get an erection as you hyperventilate. That seemed like recognition laughter. And like, oh, we've all been to the carnival, Joe. So, you know, I'm hyperventilating, and then I realize, shit, I'm not hard, and I know that's never happened to any guy ever in this room, ever. But when you realize you're not hard, that doesn't help you to get hard. Now you're just like, fuck, I'm not hard. So it's more anxiety, right? And then I see her, she's like right in front of the bush, and I'm like, you know, I glance down at my dick, you know, it's still in the pants, but I look at it, you know, kind of like, come on, dude, you know, step up, you know, you're on the team. And as I leap out of the bush, my foot hits a root, and I trip, just grazing the back of her back, right, with my hand, and I just fall on my face behind her with a big phuh. I just cock-blocked myself. Basically, because she just turns around and she's just like, ugh. Back in the bush. I'll be back in 20 minutes. Yeah. You know, and I'm like, back in the bush, you know. Back in the bush. And now I'm like, I know what the problem is. Okay, I was nervous, all right. Let's make sure of all the ground covering. If you're ever hiding in a bush waiting to pretend to rape your girlfriend, get rid of the roots. If you learn nothing here tonight, take that home with you. It might save your weird relationship. So now it's like 20 minutes, and I'm like, you know, all right, 20 minutes, but I'm like, the problem is I wasn't hard. So now I have my pants off in a bush, you know, masturbating with a wool stocking cap over my head. And I'm not masturbating for like, this is going to be good. I'm masturbating and I'm angry at my dick. I'm like, come on, don't do this to me. You gotta, come on. We've worked so hard for this. I am risking a police record right now. You know, but yeah, and the whole time I should have been like, you know, there's girls in Walnut Creek, Joe. They take them to TGI Fridays, get an awkward hand job in the parking lot, go home, you're good. No, you had to come to San Francisco. Here's my wand, rape me in a bush. That's what I'm up against. That's what I'm up against. That's what I'm up against. I'm like, and then you know, I'm conflicted. I'm like, I don't want this. Do I? No, I don't. You know, because you ask yourself questions like, I don't really have these feelings about doing this to any woman, but like, and then I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna tell her. And then I'm like, you can't tell her. She scares you. You have to just do what she wants you to do now, right? And again, the freaking dog guy, you know, just walking around, you know, just kind of like this with a cigarette. You know, or maybe it was cloves. I don't know. Anne Rice was still popular. That's how old this was, you know? And she's, yeah. he's walking around, walking the dog. I'm in the bush, doing this, waiting for, and then I see her come back into the park again, and I'm like, okay, I got a half chub. That's something. I have to tell you, when a man says half chub and he hears a woman's voice go, oh, that makes no chub. That makes so get rid of the roots, and is no. No man wants to be told, your penis is cute. No man. All right, you're dying to know what happens. Here's what happened, man. I'm in the bush. She comes into the park, right? And I can see her see the dog guy, and now she's kind of diverting, right? And the dog guy sees her, and I think in my head, we're guys. We're not terribly complicated. The look that I can recognize in his head is like, hey, that girl's kind of cute. So he starts walking the dog that way, towards her, and she's like circling around, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous, man. I'm going to put my pants on, and I'm going to step out of this bush, and I'm going to draw some boundaries. I see the two of them kind of like chatting. Maybe he was like, hey, she was, I don't know what time. I don't know what they're chatting about, right? But I see them chatting, and now I feel jealous, And I'm jealous, and I'm like, again, in the bush, like, one eye up over the wool mask, and I'm like, he can't rape you. That's bullshit. Why are you talking to him? I'm like, this is nuts. It's nuts, It's nuts. Then he kind of veers off, and I see her coming, by again, and I'm like, all right, Joe, this is it. This is the chance, right? And she comes right by the bush again, and here's a little secret that I didn't tell you. Here's what I thought would be interesting, right? She knows what bush I'm in. What if I change to a different bush? Right? That makes it more exciting. I thought this was a good idea. I jump out of the bush that she doesn't know that I'm in, and holy shit, she maces the fuck out of me. Yeah. And it goes through the wool, trust me. Wool does not, if you're a fucking creep, don't wear wool and expect, I'm not going to be maced. You'll be maced. Right? So she maces me, and I'm writhing on the ground in pain. I'm convinced my eyes are just burning. Lava is dripping down my face. And all I can think to say is, who brings real mace to a fake rape? What? I'm just crying. Like, why? Why would you do that? And then she's like, why would you jump out of that bush? I had a map. I had the right bush. I'm like, I thought it'd be more interesting. And she's just like, it is not working out. I'm like, you can't break up with me right now as you maced me. And she's like, well, I'm leaving. You find your own way home. And I'm like, I have no vision. I have no vision. So I go back into the bush, right? Because I'm just like, I'll wait here till my vision is restored, right? And it comes back enough to where I can see the dog guy again, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm not waiting for this guy. It's San Francisco. It can't be the only time walking a dog at night he's seen some dude climb out of a bush, and just go, oh, what the fuck? That can't be the first time, right? I climb out of the bush, right? And, my pants are like half on. The belt is off. I got a wool ski mask sort of half on, half off, right? I probably have the smell of fear and lube, kind of wafting off of me in various places. And I come out of the bush, and there's the guy with the cigarette and the dog, and he just looks at me, and he just goes, rape fantasy? Good night.